All right, I got Jim Murphy on the show today. He's a performance coach for top athletes, leaders, and he's also an author for the #1 New York Times bestselling book, Inner Excellence: Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life. Jim, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Joel.
Dude, I want to get right into it. There's a lot of people that are performance coaches and mental health. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you have quite the background, professional athlete. I mean, you've done some really amazing things that and accolades and your CV speaks itself. But I want to just jump into it, man. I know, you know, one of the things you say is that you say most of us are playing the wrong game in life. So I guess the
Mhm.
question is, what game are we really supposed to be playing then?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I say we're playing the wrong game, is I'm thinking about my life. I've obsessed since I was a little kid, since I was 7 or 8 years old. I want to be a pro athlete, and I want to hit home runs or catch touchdowns in the NFL like AJ Brown or something like that. I always dreamed about being a superstar and being this person that everyone loved, and all the guys wanted to be me, and all the girls wanted to be with me, and I'm just going to be rich and famous. And then through my career, I played 5 years of pro baseball, and my identity was completely wrapped up in my role as a pro athlete. And then when I lost it, I felt like I lost everything. And even today, there's a Scotty Scheffler, best golfer in the world. He's talking about his mindset, and he said, what's it all for? What's the point? He said this multiple times. What's the point of being world number one? And I think what he's really talking about is you can achieve some circumstance, some outcome, some result that the world says is great, but it doesn't change who you are as a person, and that's what you're bringing into the world every single day. And most people are like me, spend most of their lives trying to get their outer world really, really good, so they can feel some sort of comfort and some sort of maybe freedom. But that's a big mistake, because there's way too much out of your control. If you want to live an extraordinary life, and that's what inner excellence is about, is living the best possible life, then it's really about developing your inner world and the person you're becoming. That's the crucial aspect of the best possible life.
That's an interesting, yeah, and I can understand. I could see that. What do you see that even in guys, because you work with top athletes? Do you see that even in the guys that are they've won the championships, they have the money? So like, you think of like Maslow's hierarchy, like they've got money, they got security, they've achieved great things, so they got those things. But are they still finding like, well, without sports, or that's my identity, like who am I? Is there still this idea of like not being at peace? Do you still see that a lot with even the most successful athletes?
Well, there's a football player in war number 12, played for the Patriots for a while, and he won 7 Super Bowls. And he said, God, there's got to be more.
I guess you'll rest your case on that one. Hey, we got to Tarantino this a little bit because, you've got. How did you get into this space of mental health and high performance? You just kind of told the audience you got a background in sports, professional athlete. I know you've done some wild stuff like moving to a desert and selling half of your possessions. Talk to us, man. Like, how did you actually get here, Jim?
Yeah, it was this journey that I didn't know that I was on, that God was taking me to, and using my whole life as training to become a certain type of person that could maybe make a difference in someone's life. And that's why we're created, for relationships, and to make a difference in other people's lives. And what's amazing is that what I found in my trip to the desert and giving away most of my possessions, and this pursuit of the extraordinary life and performance under pressure, is that if you want to live the best possible life, it's the opposite of what you would think. You would think that I need to accumulate the most amount of money and possessions and achievements, and then I can go to Europe, and I can and have a big house and a nice car, and that's going to be the best possible life. But the truth is, if you want to live an extraordinary life, you need to give up your life in order to gain it. If you spend your life pursuing, obsessing about getting the best circumstances so you can have the best life, you're going to end up really, really frustrated and really alone.
Yeah. How old were you when you went on into the desert, and how long were you there that you kind of used this solitude practice to kind of find surrender and kind of find yourself?
Yeah, surrender is the right word. So I was in my 30s and I was in the desert 2.5 years. My teammate in pro baseball, Ricky Scruggs, called me and said, "Hey, I'm opening up a baseball academy. Can you come down for the weekend and help me launch it?" And then it was just the perfect timing. And, obviously God orchestrated it. I was really feeling restless, and my screensaver on my laptop at the time said, "Those destined for greatness must first walk alone in the desert." And so he calls me from the desert and says, "Can you come down for the weekend?" And I just was like, and my girlfriend at the time would just talk to me about, "Man, Jim, what are you doing with your life? And I know you're kind of restless." And so it was this prompting, and so that's when I just like, I need to go get away from the get into solitude for a little while and just make sure that I can let go of my past and think new thoughts about what's possible in my life and why am I here? What am I meant to become and do with my life? And I didn't have anything that I was willing to devote my life to and willing to die for. That's for sure.
Did you find that afterwards, after going through that process, that inner
Oh yeah.
process,
So now
you
my
made
my
that call?
purpose is to share God's love, wisdom, and courage with athletes and leaders around the world, and I'd like to think that I'm willing to die for that.
That's amazing. Okay, so walk us back a little bit. So here, and I don't know the whole story, but you're a successful baseball player, doing well. Something happens. You're not playing baseball anymore. It's life crisis, and now you're doing this. Like, walk us up to speed where you went from a professional athlete to now being a highly sought out coach.
Well, yeah, I was a 5-year minor league baseball player, making the big bucks. Started off at 550 a month, I think, and paid only during the season. So I don't know what that annual salary is, 5 or 6 thousand a year or something. It was a time of it was a really challenging time. But the journey to get to be where I'm at is understanding that life is always training you. The question is, are you listening? And wisdom is always shouting from the streets, but do you have ears that can hear? And for most of my life, I haven't. So now I'm trying to have ears that can hear and get out of my way of my own self-centeredness, my constant self-referential life, and so I can truly hear some things that can make a difference.
Yeah, I want to ask you when you talk about the desert and just giving up everything and how, and I think you're right. We're in such a connected world with our phones. There's a lot of attachments, right? And but so how do you find that practice, because you're no longer living in the desert, right? And so it's like, how do we find that, or is there anything that you do to kind of continue to remind yourself to not be so attached to our phones, our possessions, that those kind of things on a more regular basis?
Yeah, well, there's 9 disciplines to inner excellence, and three for love, three for wisdom, and three for courage. And one of the ones for love is to deprive the appetites. And so the idea is as humans, we're constantly um, our human nature is that I just want to live a comfortable life. I want more comfort and less hardship. I want an easier life, and that's just human nature. And so the problem with that is the universe doesn't reward that as far as um, most things. You want to be healthy physically, the universe does not reward being comfortable sitting in a hot tub. Well, hot tub can be beneficial, but sitting on the couch, it rewards breaking down the muscles. If you want bigger muscles, you got to break them down. It's painful. You got to sacrifice to get a stronger body. To be healthier, you need to break it down. Just like I said earlier, if you want to live the best possible life, then you need to give it up instead of cling to it. And so it's the same thing for anything else. The spiritual life, depriving the appetites is really about um, letting go regularly, doing hard things where you're really uncomfortable, and so you can grow. Whereas an addiction that we all have had our addictions. Um, right now, it's probably the phone is the biggest, most common one. Addictions are things that stop your growth. And in order to grow, we need to be uncomfortable and come to the edge of our beliefs and edge of our feelings where we're really uncomfortable, and sit in them, and welcome them as our teacher and our friend.
Yeah. Do hard stuff. Wanted to ask you, one of the things you talk about in the book too is heart first, performance second, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think many high achievers get that backwards. How do you mean that? Because I think a lot of people would say, "Yeah, Jim, it's a nice speech, and it makes sense. Like I want to be more heartfelt, I want to lead with my heart, but I also got some shit I need to accomplish. I need to get this done. I need to be the best in the world, or I'm striving for this, and I need to be performance driven." Is there a way you found to help people kind of balance that duality?
Yeah. So say you are the coach of a national team, and you've got the pressure of the whole country on your shoulders, and you want to build the best team possible. So the whole country is going to be talking about outcomes. All they care about is outcomes.
Yep.
But if you want to build the best possible team, then you think, okay, how do I get them to perform their best? I need to get them to be fully engaged in the moment, heart, mind, and body, unattached to what we're trying to do. And we've got to get better every day, constantly work on getting better. And so that's where we start from the very beginning. If you want to build a great team, you got to get great athletes. And if you want to build a great athlete, or a great performer, I should say, if you want to have a great team, you have to have great performers who perform well under pressure. And then great performers who perform well under pressure are great athletes, and those great athletes are great people. In other words, it kind of goes back to what the Hall of Fame football coach Dick Vermeil said. If you're a football coach, you coach the person first, then the athlete. If you're a tennis coach, you coach the person first. You've got to learn about human optimization, and human optimization is optimizing the heart, the control center of the person.
Mm,
And so making sure that when that heart gets squeezed, when you're under pressure, that what comes out is inner strength, not fear.
mm.
That's heart first, performance second. Performance follows the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking, yeah, for leaders, I can see that's something huge that a leader should totally embody. It reminds me of some of the things that Simon Sinek talked about um, in one of his latest books, just talking about how leaders they're so disconnected, right? They're all the way at the top and like they're steeples, and they look down at the plebeians, their workers, but they have no connection with them. And if they just ask them, like, "How you doing? Like, what's going on?" So it reminds me of that. Is there a way though for you too that you remind yourself just to stay heart like centered in your heart and your mission and the things that you're doing versus performance? Obviously, there's metrics, KPIs, and things that we all want to hit. Those are those goals. But one of the things I heard recently, and it really stuck with me, is if you're always coming from a place of like contribution, like you want to give back, like you're always going to win, right? But it's obviously hard, right? Because you're also looking at KPIs, metrics, and the bottom line, right? So is there something that you do to reframe that?
I have on my phone the wallpaper, how I want to live, who I want to become. In fact, I'll read it to you right now.
Yeah.
The purpose of my life. This is another version of my purpose. My purpose is to share a love so amazing they want to know the source. So I don't know if you can see that, but um, and then below it says, arrange your days so you're experiencing deep contentment, joy, and confidence in your daily walk with God. So I have that on my phone. I also have reminders that go off throughout the day. I start my day every day with my morning playlist lined up with my life purpose. So the words are really getting into my heart and soul. And I have this 10-minute time where it's just God and I, and soaking up his love so I can feel, so I'm not going to try and get it from Joel or from anyone else. I don't need things from other people, because our greatest need is unconditional love. And if I don't get it from God or somewhere, then I'm going to try and get it from you, from everywhere. And I'm going to try and get it through what I call the palms, possessions, achievements, looks, money, or status.
Mm.
And that's what most people spend their entire lives doing, trying to get more possessions and achievements and things like that, so they can get the love that they so desperately need. And so they don't get what they fear most, which is rejection. And so I try and to live the best possible life, so I can be the best that I can be. I need a series of routines and an environment around me that empowers me. I need people around me that empower me. Um, and I need my eyes to see things that are empowering. I need my ears to hear empowering words. And so I try to arrange my environment in such a way, and routines that do that.
Yeah, love that. Love that. You mentioned also, I know you were talking about fear a little bit earlier, and I know one of the things you say is that fear and self-centeredness, that's the root of underperformance. What are some ways you think people can start to break free from that?
Well, I think one of the main things that happens is that we have way too many thoughts. We got to really, really reduce the thoughts. Why do we have too many thoughts? Because we've got way too much information coming into our heads. And so, um, well, two reasons: way too much information coming in, and we don't have a clear life purpose. That everything flows through, all my decisions going through this one statement about who I am and what I value most. If you don't have that clear purpose and mission for your life, then you're going to be constantly looking over your shoulders. And so, human nature is naturally self-centered, and we have to have this, in many ways, a self-referential life, because I need, if you don't, you're going to die. You got to take care of yourself. But that self-referential life creates this comparison and anxiety and fear. And so we need a clear system to combat that. And it starts with simplifying your life down to your life purpose. And you can start doing that by thinking about, well, how do I want to live, and how do I want to feel when I'm at work and when I'm at home, and who's the type of person I want to become, and start thinking about the best moments you've had in your life. And most likely those best moments are going to involve love or joy that came from love. And then you're going to realize, oh, wow, that love, unconditional love, is the most powerful force in the universe. I want more of that in my life, and the joy that comes from it. And so you don't need to be loved by other people to generate that energy, because you can do it by loving and serving others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, when you talk about mindset, I know you quoted this, and I thought this was really clever. I really like this. You said that mindset is a subconscious thermostat, and talk about limiting beliefs and having to rewrite those. But in terms of like mental programming, and it sounds like even from your own life, you do a lot. There's a lot of routines, there's a lot of repetition, there's a lot to reprogram, rewire, right? Because
Yeah.
like you said, there's this flow of information, and we're getting programmed every day. So are you programming yourself with good stuff or bad stuff? But talk about, I love that idea, man, the subconscious thermostat. Talk about that and how people can think about and then eventually start to reset theirs.
Yeah. So right now, Joel, you have a story about your life that you've been telling yourself about who you are, what's possible in your life, and what's not possible. And just like we all do, what inner excellence is it's this system to say, to get out of that single story. This is my life. This is who I am. This is what I can and cannot do, and get out of that constant self-referential uh, mindset that's leading us towards fear and anxiety and comparison, and get into that selfless fearless mode, where there's many possible ways that I can become, because I don't know what's best for me. I have my goals and what I want, and I'm pretty confident what I want and what I don't want. But are they the best things for me? I don't know. I mean, it could be the things that I don't want are the best things for me, and the things that I want are the worst things for me. And so, this understanding that helps me to hold my life loosely and my goals loosely. And so, I don't know if the actual circumstances and results I want are the best thing for me, but what I do know is who I want to become. I want to become a person that lives with deep contentment, joy, and confidence no matter what. Um, I want to be a person that walks in love and not fear, that's grateful, not entitled, that lives a creative life, not a reactive life.
It goes back to, man, really, it sounds like living your purpose, living your mission, and constantly reviewing it so that you're coming into the every single day with intention, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but obviously, but people get knocked down, right? And I know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you've seen this with the people you work with. You know, sometimes you might even string a good week together, maybe even 2 weeks, and then something happens because it always does.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, man? What's some of the things that you're telling your clients and the people you're working with, like those setbacks? How do we start to embrace those? Because yeah, you might have had 2, even 3 good weeks, but stuff happens. Life gets in the way, and we forget that that image we
If
built.
if your life is going good, you had a good week or two, then you've got to realize that you need to really start preparing for the hard times. And if you have inner peace right now, it doesn't mean you have um, a life filled with love. It just might mean you have good circumstances. It doesn't mean that you're going to be fearless under pressure. It might be just, yeah, you got lucky or got some good circumstances. So we always want to prepare for that hardship that's going to come. And you can think of it as, um, are you going to panic under pressure? Like if all of a sudden, there's an active shooter or whatever, would you panic? And, obviously we'd all like to think, oh no, I wouldn't. I would probably save the world and save the guy, save us. But um, I was alone in an empty house recently, and I hear this noise. And then for some reason I got scared and I was like, what was that? And I was like, huh, that's inside of my heart. I'd like to think that I'm just cool and calm under pressure in every moment, but I realize that that's what's inside of my heart. And so um, we want to use the good times to prepare for the hardship that's going to come. And in the tough times, we want to make sure that um, we're remembering a few things, like principle number one of inner excellence, that everything is here to teach me and help me. It's all working for my good, and that God is always training you. And the most important training is generally the hardest times in your life. Like, I mean, I've had, just like every adult, I've had times when I've been filled with fear and anxiety and depression, and felt hopeless in my life. And looking back, I see that was all training for me for this time in my life right now. And so important to remember that it's training for you. And if you resist the training unfortunately may last longer than it needs to.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Talk about, Ryan Dodd. He went from nearly dying to breaking a world record after he went from nearly dying to then actually breaking a world record after applying some of the concepts that he learned from you in inner excellence. Can you kind of talk about like what changed his mindset?
Yeah, when Ryan and I first started working together, it was a pretty crazy story that I wrote about in the book. Um, he had uh, a major brain injury just weeks before we met. It was maybe, I don't know, 7 weeks before we met. Couldn't go out in the sun and couldn't talk to me for more than 15, 20 minutes, etc. He almost died. And so he wins his first event back, and then wins the Masters he'd never won before, becomes world champion, world number one, and then he's been world number one for, I don't know, over a decade now. And so I think the biggest difference for Ryan was the two things that I think about is one, his overall mindset, like what is he trying to do? Before we met, it's just like anyone else. It's like I just want to win. I just want to be the best I can be. But the problem with I just want to win and be world number one is that's way too much out of your control. And um, we need to focus. If you want to be the best you can be, it has to be on improvement and understanding, having the self awareness and the ego mastery. What does it take for me to get better? And you got to get good at learning and growing. And there's no way to be really good at learning and growing if your ego is mastering you. And your ego is going to master you unless you daily work on surrendering your ego and to a power greater than yourself. And so I think his mindset went from I'm here to beat everybody to I'm here to be who I can be. I'm here to get better every day. It's like I talked about in the book, that football player said, from Frosty Westering. They're here to beat us before the national championship. We're here to be us. And so, and I think then his routines greatly changed. Before we started, his routines were kind of like most people. It's kind of not super regimented. And then when we started it, we really started to dial in how we wanted to feel and live and who he wants to become. And at first he was resisting the routines, but then he said, after I started to get him, I realized it brings me freedom, the opposite of what I thought. I thought I want freedom, just do what I want during the day. But that actually creates more anxiety than freedom. If you think ahead and think about how do I want to feel and live and who do I want to become and what are the things I need to do to get better, then you can truly relax when it's time to relax. But if you don't have that clear plan, then you can never really relax.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, wow. What a shift. What a shift. His whole goals really really switched for him. So, and it kind of reminds me of, it's something I heard Tony Robbins talk about a long time ago, is you can have success without fulfillment, right? And so you can be like one of the most, I think he referred to it as who's the actor? There was an actor who committed suicide, right? The guy who played Mrs. Doubtfire, and the comedian. I can't think of his name right now.
There's like Hollywood is filled with people that become rich and famous, and yet they're empty on the inside. And
Yeah.
success without fulfillment. I mean, that's an understatement. Yeah,
Yeah.
success doesn't bring, like, when most people say success, they mean some sort of a good result or circumstance that they really like that the world says is great.
Yeah.
And that may do nothing for your inner world. In fact, it may make your inner world worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
The worst thing for a person could be to win the British Open this week.
That could be the worst thing that happens. They might
It's
be knocking
awful.
on your door afterwards. I wanted to ask, you, in inner excellence, if you could just teach one principle, obviously there's 9, but if you could teach only one, like what would be the one you think you would teach?
I mean, well, there's so many. There's the 9 disciplines. There's 3 principles. The first one, like one I'd like to talk about right now that I haven't mentioned, is I have no needs. So this kind of started with me a couple of years ago when I was thinking about this principle. I went on a sailboat, 15 days, no civilization, and before I left, I was wearing the Aura Ring, the Whoop, and the BioStrap, checking my physiology, and then if I needed anything, Amazon gets it here in a day or two. Get on the sailboat. I didn't know it was going to be 15 days no civilization until I stepped on the boat, and that's when he told me. And so there's no Amazon, and there's everything you're eating is going to be on the boat except for coconuts, because we would stop on islands and get coconuts. And the guy I was with, he was a captain. There's 3 of us, a friend of mine and his son, and he grew up on a farm from New Zealand, and a great guy, and but he's eating food off the floor, and only got like one article of clothing, and I've got a suitcase of clothes, and I'm just like living like a normal person, I think. And then I realized, man, he's got so much more freedom than I do. I was like, had all these needs. I need this, I need that. It's got to be, because I in my mind it was like a higher standard. Like I want to be the best, and so I need to have things a certain way. But the problem is, if you need things a certain way, then you're going to be extremely restricted and frustrated. And I saw that was limiting me. It's just like fear or fire, perfectionism. All 3 can be very powerful, but also very dangerous and restrictive. And so that perfectionism was hurting my freedom. And so from that came principle number 3: I have no needs. And so just think about things that you think you need right now. Preferences. Those are preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's interesting just hearing, a lot of the things that you've gone through. They're the lessons that you've pulled and gleaned, right? It reminds me of almost like these Japanese like masojis, like that you've gone through, and these crucibles that have then like really you kind of transform afterwards. Not, I mean, ideally that's what happens, and that's what's happened for you. Do you do you purposely do this now? Do you kind of are you looking for kind of like these misogis, these things that you these crucibles, these things to go through? Because like you said earlier, this discomfort is what makes something beautiful comes on the other side of it. Is this something that you actively now kind of look for, or is it just kind of happenstance that you ended up on a sailboat for 15 days, or you know
Um, I'm planning on going off grid at least 3 to 4 weeks a year. Um, if I want to be who I want to be, I need to renew my mind. If I want to make a difference in the world, which is what I want to do, I need to make sure that I'm renewing my mind and not becoming like everybody else. So how can I help everybody if I'm becoming like everyone else and thinking these regular common thoughts? I need to think new thoughts, and so need to renew my mind, and also I need to constantly do what I shared earlier about that discipline is deprive the appetites, and so I just always think about the cold plunge. Cold plunge is just an easy example. It's painful, and um, that's like, you want to sit in the hot tub, or you want to sit in the cold plunge. The hot tub, you can just totally relax. Cold plunge, you can be filled with discomfort. Which one do you want?
yeah.
And so we need to, if we want to grow, we need to regularly be uncomfortable. If you want to do anything great in your life.
Yeah, for sure. For you, what do you think has been the hardest challenge that you've ever had to face where inner excellence became your lifeline?
Well, there's the end of my career, and there's the end of my parents and my sister's lives. Um, my sister. Those are the first two that come to mind. The end of my career as a pro athlete, that was my whole identity was gone, and so that was really got me searching. And then, um, especially my sister, just really made me think about what is my life about? What am I here for? And um, it's kind of like um, I get this house that I'm calling you or speaking to you right now from. We got this house from my parents and my sister, and we almost lost the house, and after a year and a half of looking. And during that week, I was memorizing this Psalm 103, and that really helped me a lot. Just these words of wisdom that I kept going through every day, all day long, was really helping me. And so, inner excellence, the power is that what I've tried to do with inner excellence is try to glean from uh, the wisdom, thousands of years of wisdom, mostly based on the Bible, but also um, wisdom from Buddhism and um, uh, other Middle Eastern ideas that are powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Thanks for sharing that. That was deep. Thank you.
Yep.
Um, Jim, just I want to wrap things up here in a little bit, but just curious for me, any exciting projects coming up that you can tell us about?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm real excited about. We've got the book, The Best Possible Life, is getting re-released February 3rd. So super excited about that.
You said
And
February 3rd, so next year?
yep,
Okay,
yep.
awesome.
And then got an inner excellence workbook that we're working on as well. As soon as I finish this, the deadline for this Best Possible Life is coming up. Finish that, we're going to start working on the workbook, and then the inner excellence podcast will be. The plan is to launch that next year. Um, so those are some of the most exciting things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, I gotta. There's some guy. There's so many guys I just came to mind. I just want to connect you with. There's so many parallels
Thank
of
you.
some people that I just thought of. Um, before I wrap things up, just I wanted to ask you anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had.
No, but I think there's so many people right now that are having a hard time. Like there is a lot of fear and anxiety and tension and violence in the world today, and I want everyone to know that there's hope. And like I said, you may be going through what I thought was the worst thing in my life, was what really transformed me. And so I understand that uh, God's got a plan for your life. And right now, if you're having a really hard time, if you look at it like this is training for me, and that the more that you go through, the better you can be to impact the world. And so remember that no one has gone through what you've gone through. No one has your experiences, your learnings, your possibilities. There's not one person in the world that can bring to the world what you can bring. And so remember that.
Yeah, I love that. Jim Murphy, where can people connect with you if they want to see all the amazing things you got going on? I know the podcast is coming up, but whether they want to get the book, are you on social media? Where are you at? Are you on Instagram, or where can people, if they want to learn more about all the great things you're up to, where can they do? Where's the best place?
Yeah, thanks, Joel. So, yeah, I'm on social media. There's Inner Excellence, Jim Murphy, Instagram. I have a website, innerexcellence.com. You can see some of the latest things. I have a newsletter also that's going to be on Substack. And so just go to my website. You can sign up for it there. And we have a Facebook group. And also so I do keynotes and retreats. And we've got a retreat open to the public coming up in November. We build a house with Youth with a Mission in Ensenada, Mexico, and we also get a full Inner Excellence retreat. So that'll be coming up first week of November. So you can find out about that on my website.
Amazing stuff. Wow, amazing stuff. Jim Murphy, Inner Excellence. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Joel.